Welcome to the Golf Improvement Podcast, episode 200.
Welcome to the podcast for golf lovers and enthusiasts who are looking to take their games to new heights. Dedicated to custom club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice to improve your golf game. This is the Golf Improvement Podcast with your host, Tony Wright.
Hello, this is Tony Wright from Game Improvement Golf in Oak Ridge, Tennessee with the Golf Improvement Podcast, dedicated to sharing useful information on professional club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice techniques, changing golfers' lives, one golfer at a time. Yes, episode 200. Burt Reich, Keith Chatham, Tom Wishon, and Roy Nix. You've heard from Burt, Keith, and Tom a number of times in the past, and Roy Nix is the founder of the Association of Golf Club Fitting Professionals. This was a great episode to do. Burt, Keith, and Tom will talk about what's in their golf bags. Keith will discuss a tip to help senior golfers hit their drives longer. Tom will share what for him was the greatest club design he ever created, and boy, there were many. And Roy will talk about what's made his new online club fitting approach work. Enjoy episode 200.
Tony Wright and Game Improvement Golf, changing golfers' lives, one golfer at a time.
Well, this is the first installment of episode 200 of the Golf Improvement Podcast. And I'm doing something different, some little mini interviews with some of my best friends in professional club fitting. And the first one is with my good friend Burt Reich, owner of Gooder Custom Golf Clubs in Saskatchewan, Canada. Burt did episodes with me 24, 150, and 190. So Burt, thanks for doing this. This is kind of a little milestone episode, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Well, hi, Tony. And first off, happy 200. That is a milestone, without a doubt.
I think so.
That speaks volumes. That's a very good accomplishment. And not only that, you're contributing to the greater good of this art we call club fitting, and we're trying to help some people play some better golf.
There you go.
So, kudos to you.
Yeah.
And big congrats. This is this is momentous.
It's kind of neat. Well, first question is, I want you to talk about what's in your golf bag and why.
Well, first off, my current and most used and favorite set of irons is a set of left-hand Wishon 771 irons, 4-through pitch. They are nothing short of phenomenal for me, right? But tremendous feel, tremendous consistency. I like the sound they make it impact. I like the look when you're staring down addressing a ball. I like everything about them. Of course, you have to couple that onto the right shaft with the right combination of length, weight, flex, MOI, all the little details that we pay attention to. But when you get all the planets aligned, I truly believe these things help me play better golf. Even more so than my previous favorite set, which is a close second to these, but there's just something about getting the right, and I mean, you can attest to this in all the fittings you've done, something about getting the right combination of all the variables
all the pieces, right?
Control, and when you get most of those as right as you possibly can, good things happen. Yes, you're still going to miss-hit balls. You're not going to get eliminated, or you won't get rid of that. Pros do it, right?
That's right.
But you can make fewer mishits, and you can make your mishits better, as dumb as that might sound. But all these things contribute in helping you play a better round of golf. More smiles per round. Hey, maybe if we can knock a stroke or two off your index, that's it's a big stretch. But as you know, most of the golfers that we work with end up shooting better scores and reducing their handicap and doing good things by getting all the elements right, all the pieces in that puzzle that we can get as right as we can.
So how about your wedges?
Well, I've got numerous sets of wedges, but the ones that I keep going back to, which are my favorite, that's like an old pair of blue jeans. They're a set of left-hand forged malt B wedges, a nice C grind sole.
Yeah.
And I'm scared they're going to wear. Well, they're starting to wear out, but I got about 3 or 4 sets sitting in the in the closet, just waiting to come out for a rainy day. Just again, everything about them. After all the wedges I've tried over the years, I like the look, I like the feel, I like the sound, I like everything about them, and I find, for me, I have much more control with these. Distance control, dispersion, all that kind of stuff than I have with others. And as you know from club fitting, performance-based fitting is a big thing of what we do. What performs in the golfer's hands is what's best for them. And there again, after trying numerous different wedge combinations and even back to iron sets and all that kind of stuff, what works the best and feels the best typically is going to be the best for the results on the course and scoring and all that kind of stuff. So that's my irons and my wedges. I build my wedges. I should say I build my irons. I still use the 1/2 inch club length change club to club in all the numbered clubs, all the full swing clubs. When I get to wedges are either same length or 1/8 of an inch difference, or at most 1/4 of an inch difference in length. And it depends on the number of wedges the golfer carries. And like some golfers just are not comfortable hitting a 60. In that case, we'll stop at 56, but then we'll gap the wedge loft separations accordingly and make sure that we've got as many holes covered as possible. And so I build my wedges a little bit longer. I don't follow that 1/2 inch progression on those. And I build my wedges to a slightly lower MOI than the full swing clubs. That's just what I've been doing over the years. There's only been I could probably count on one hand how many sets where I've actually built them the same MOI or even slightly heavier, but the vast, vast majority are slightly lower. And when I say slightly, I'm talking like 10 to maybe 15 points.
Yeah.
Not even 1%, right? So.
Now, how about that bomber club in your fairway wedge?
Well,
and I know the answer about the driver, but there you go.
My Wishon 919, I believe, just finished its. God, I think it's its 14th year in my bag.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I cannot say enough good things about that thing. It is the ultimate old pair of blue jeans for a golf club. I have never seen a club not only look and feel and sound so nice, but performance. Long, straight, controllable. I mean, there's times I do hit a stupid drive. That's because the guy swinging the club did something dumb. But for the most part, finds a ton of fairways. It's a short club too. I'm 6'3". That club is 44 and 1/8 of an inch long.
Yeah.
But if you look at the club face, there's noticeable wear. In the size of like 1.5 inch diameter ish. Around the center of the club face. If I missed the center of the club face, I did something dumb.
Yeah. So
it's a shorter club. Got about a 76 or 77 raw weight shaft, and there's actually an old Wishon Interflex.
Oh yeah, I remember those
shaft. Yeah, those things were awesome. And it was 76 or 77 grams raw weight, and length is like 44 1/8, and the head weight is probably like 204 1/2 ish.
Yeah.
Right around there, 1/2 gram anyway. And that is money. I've tried literally over 100 drivers now since I've built this 919, and nothing comes close. Yes, there's the odd one that you might bomb, but I mean, as far as consistency and all that kind of stuff, this thing is gold. And it's a short driver, by today's standards, but it's not short on the course. I didn't lose any distance going to a shorter driver. If anything, I gained just because I'm hitting the center of the club face a lot more often.
Yeah.
And more control, more fairways.
Now, how about the fairway woods?
Well, I've got a set, there again, a favorite. I've got numerous sets of fairway woods, but I've got like 15, 18, 20. I carry 7 wood for in every set of my fairways, but
yeah.
I've got like 15, 18, 21. I've got 16, 20, 24, 15, 19, 20. My favorite set is their Alpha Silver Diamond.
Oh my.
That's kind of their second line, and they're 15, 19, 23. And I've got those shafted with some old Acra AC75s, all three of them. And they're built to a slightly lower MOI than my driver. They're again, not much. We're talking like 10 points. But they're again, bursting with confidence. When you get one of those things in your hands, I don't worry about what bad can happen. You just empty your head, make a swing. And a good percentage of the time, you get a real nice result. It's just they feel right, they look right, they sound right. Everything about them is right.
Interesting. They're very pretty clubs. I haven't really used them with many people, but they're great looking clubs too.
And,
sure.
and like I said, I've tried numerous, and I've got numerous sets, but that is the one that's just my go-to set. They just live in my bag for over 90% of the rounds I play. I just like them.
Now, how about your putter?
Oh well, putters. I have several. Well, and just being a left-hander, some of the manufacturers we deal with when it comes to putters don't offer many choices. And of course, everyone that does, they make a blade. My eye cannot stand looking at a blade putter. I need to look at a bigger head. I need to look at a mallet.
Okay.
And actually the one that is earned the favorite little spot in my bag is an old Tour Edge. It's called a GTLH. It's got a nice soft, like a urethane insert in it. It's a bigger headed mallet, but it's been heavily modified. I use those True Temper T2C shafts. If you recall, those are like 220 grams. Right? Yeah. And it's like a 34.5-inch putter with that heavy shaft. Plus I cranked up another, I think it's got about a 75-gram weight up under the hands. And then it's about a 340-gram head weight that I added about 20 to the head itself, and then another 10-gram tip weight, plus about 10 grams of lead powder down the shaft. So it's on the Toledo, she's pretty heavy. But that's what this golfer needs to have in his hands when he's on the green. I have fewer 3-putts. I mean, after many years of experimentation, this is what works in my hands. And I have to blame Keith Chatham for this, one of our brothers from Texas. Who
I'll interview tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Hey, good on you. Keith, many years ago, I remember having an email conversation with him because I was like one of the world's worst putters. I was either 8 feet long or 10 feet. I just couldn't get it. And he's the guy that said in an email, he said, don't be afraid to mess with weight. Just same thing you do when you're fitting an iron or drive, experiment. And the nice thing with putter, if you're adding down the shaft weights and stuff, you can undo what you just put in there to test. It's very easy to undo. And it's just, add some weight, especially weight up under the hands. That seems to be a huge game changer in putter fitting for my experience anyway.
Yeah.
But put a bit of weight up onto hey, it got better. It feels better. Hey, my distance control feels better. Okay, put some more in, see what happens. You keep going until you cross the line, and then you back it off to where it was best. And there again, am I going to eliminate 3 putts for the rest of my life? Probably not. There's still going to be the odd one that sneaks through, but the frequency of those is much lower now. And getting the right stuff in your hands, whether it be an iron, a driver, fairway wood, putter, if you feel very confident with that club in your hands, right away that gets rid of a lot of those ugly little demons that can creep into the between your ears in the game of golf, which is dangerous and detrimental to scoring ability. So get confidence in your hand. It doesn't matter if I'm 40 or 50 feet away. Hey, I can 2-putt this. I know I can.
Yeah.
Or 6-footer. I can make this. So.
Well,
golf is such an easy game, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's end our little mini thing with, just really what brings you the greatest joy in the last minute or so here, Bert. Okay.
Greatest joy working with my customers is the feedback you get, or even the eureka moment as you're doing your fitting.
Oh, yeah.
When you zoom in and you get to that combination, you're going to, hey, I just assembled a prototype. We're getting real close. And this guy, before they even hit a ball, they just make a couple of airs. Oh, yes, this is just feels right. And they'll turn around and they'll just smash the snot out of it. And that's rewarding. And then, of course, after the fact, once you build them clubs and get them in their hands and let them play for a while, you'll get a phone call or an email and, hey, I just shot the best round of my life, or my handicap's never been this low. Stuff like that. That is extremely rewarding, and it's very gratifying as a fitter to help play a role in someone's enjoyment of the game. Because I mean, I truly enjoy the game as you do, and all of our brothers. And when you come off the course shooting a real good round, you can't wreck my day. It's impossible, right?
Yep.
And the more people you can kind of help experience that it's a good thing. It's a real good thing. And you get to meet a lot of good people, like fellow club fitters and club makers, like yourself, and then Keith and Roy, and all the brothers that we got in AGCP. It builds a tremendous camaraderie and a bond, because we all share something in common, and we communicate, sharing like awesome knowledge. I couldn't be anywhere near where I am as a fitter without that group that we're involved with.
Well, I appreciate you diving in tonight. You hear it's 9 o'clock my time and 8 o'clock your time, and I know you've been working all day, but thanks for taking the time today to do this. It's been great.
Oh, Tony, thank you very much for including me on your milestone. And so that's 200. Let's see another 200 more.
Oh my gosh, I hope I live that long.
Oh, keep it going. Keep it going. No, you're doing a good thing here. So.
Well, this is a Golf Improvement Podcast number 200 mini interview with professional club fitter and good friend Keith Chatham from Precision Fit Golf in Kerrville, Texas. Keith did 5 really great previous interviews with me, and he agreed to talk about a couple limited topics that I think are going to be fun. So, Keith, thanks for being here today.
You're very welcome.
Well, the first topic is, and I'm really looking forward to this myself, what's in your golf bag, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the clubs.
Okay. The driver is the Tom Wishon 919 PHI. I had it hand-picked to 12 degrees of loft. Launch monitor tells me I need to get up in the air, so I do that. I have a square face angle on it. I have the S2S green R-Flex shaft in it. It is 44 inches long, and I use star grips. For my fairway woods, I have the EQ1 NX 4 wood, 17 degrees, and 7 wood at 21 degrees. I have SK Fiber TurTrack 80 R-Flex shafts on both of them.
I miss those shafts.
Yeah, they're real good shafts. I wish they were still being made, but the old way, not the newer way that Harico's doing it. But both of those are 41 inches, so I made them to single length, and they both have the exact same MOI, or within 3 or 4 points. And again, I have star grips on that. I have a 5 hybrid, which is the EQ1 NX5. I love that club. It's really a real good club, even sometimes on a shorter par 4 and stuff for me to hit if I didn't have a good drive to hit as a second shot. On my irons, I am playing the TWGT Sterling single-length irons. Yes, I'm still playing them, and the reason for it is I love them. They're 36.75 inches and all MO wide. I have the Aerotech Steel Fiber I-80 R-Flex, and I have the 6-iron through sand wedge, and again with star grips. And so the reason I have these clubs is the single length is because of the fact so that with 9 clubs I have 1 swing to make. With both of the fairway woods, I have 1 swing to make. And I have 1 swing to make with the driver. So instead of having, 12 different swings with different clubs of incremental length, I only have 3. And so that's the reason that I've got those in my bags. I like them. Right now, I haven't found another iron head that would make me leave the Sterling single length right now. And I'm one of those people that if I find a set of irons or a club that I like and I'm hitting it good, I don't like to change.
The fairway woods and hybrids are amazing, and I've got the 6 hybrid, and it's working its way to becoming one of my favorite clubs. Oh, man, I hit it. Get the ball up in the air, goes the right distance. It's a great club.
Yeah, I think the 5 hybrid has already made to be the best club in my set, maybe. However, the 7 wood, the 21 degree 7 wood, I call it my honey club.
Yeah.
And it really is. So those 2 clubs are probably 2 of my favorite in the bag.
Yeah. And what wedges are you playing?
I'm playing the Sterling.
The same all the way through.
Length.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's single length. Yeah.
Okay.
All the way 6 iron through sand wedge.
Okay. And how about your putter?
The Tom Wishon, was it CB1, the blade?
Yeah.
I like it. It also is the club head with the highest MOI of those 4 putters. And I went back and forth on the CB1 and the CB4 quite a bit. And I finally ended up that I seem to like the CB1 a little bit better, so that's in my bag now.
Yeah.
And I'm not, it's going to have to, be replaced by something that I feel like, I can putt better with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I've got, and I'm going to keep these, short because I'm going to talk to Tom and also to Roy Nix. But, I found an FC1 putter that I really like, Swing Science, and I actually found it used from somebody. But I love that putter. It's great for me.
I've tried that, and I've made a few for some people, and they really like it. And I would tell you on the blade. That blade that they had that you just said, it would probably be my second choice to the Tom Wishon CB1.
Yeah. I wish they were still making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we could contact Jeff.
There you go. Well, I got back to them about that, but it's too bad because it was a great club. Mm-hmm. Well, the second question is, and so let's preface this. I mean, you put a post on the other day. You had a lady, you got her in a 42-inch driver, and she's like in seventh heaven, right? Hits the ball in the middle all the time. But you have a lot of great success with females and seniors. What would you say is this, the biggest reason why that seems to be?
Well, I think the biggest reason is where I live right now. It's a retirement town, Kerrville is, and it's out in the hill country of Texas. And we're a town of 25,000 people, but yet we have 3 golf courses right here in town. And then we got 2 more within 15 miles. So there's a lot of golf around. But ever since I've been here, and I've been here for almost 21 years, the average age of my client base has been 66 years of age.
Yeah.
And I even checked up on that here, a year or 2 back. It's still 66 over all the years. And the problem is, yes, I have customers that are in their 80s, but, they eventually die off. But then other people retire from their job and move here. And we have a lot of people that move from Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and stuff. And I get a lot of people who have lived in California, but yet they were born and raised in Texas, so they're coming back to Texas. And so that's the biggest reason on why that I have success with senior, because 95% of everybody that walks through my front door is age 60 and older, generally. So that's for that. Now, the deal about women is that I have found in this particular area, and just not Kerrville, but all of Central Texas and stuff, when I talk to some of the women and everything, there's not many people that do fittings or promote fittings with women. And so what I started doing several years back was finding out in the local little small towns and everything, and where the other golf courses was, about what days do the women play golf.
Okay.
Usually it's either like Tuesday or Thursday, something like that. And I've gone and have asked them, hey, do y'all ever have a meeting before or after y'all play? Usually like the one here, the Kerrville Ladies Golf Association, they have a meeting afterwards. Everybody brings food and cakes and everything like that. And I started asking them to see if I could come afterwards or maybe even play with them and everything. And they said yes. And so I've gone there and, I give them the 12 minutes, gave everybody the 12 minutes book, and I bring a few of them with me because I say, okay, if you're new to the group or anything here, I want to give this to you and everything. But I think it's been that most of the golf clubs, and I hate to say this, but PGA golf pros, not all of them, but there's a few that just don't like working with the women. And I do. Their money is just as green as mine and just as green as yours. And I get along with them quite well. And so I kind of seek them out, and I have a lot of women customers that if new people move in and say maybe they go to the play with the Kerrville Ladies Golf Association, they'll ask around. They go, oh, well, you need to go see Keith. Oh, you need to go see Keith. And so I made it my point to talk to them and to show up at some of their meetings, and I get quite a bit. I personally do not know of any other professional club fitter or club maker in the state of Texas that works with more women than I do.
Yeah,
I don't know of it. So and I have talked to a few of them when I've met some of the people and everything, and most of them say, oh, I may have 50 or 60 or something like that. I've got about 2,500.
Wow.
That I know of.
That's amazing.
So, so that's with the seniors and especially with the women. Okay. Yeah, now the last question I told you that I wanted to put in was
and I can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, my number one tip to most of my customers and the seniors coming in, well, here it is. Everybody asks, well, I'm pushing everything to the right if they're a right-handed golfer and everything. Well, here it is. Finish the turn of your hips and your shoulders. Finish the swing. They'll turn, but you'll still see that they finish, and they've got a three-quarter turn. Their shoulders and their hips are pointed to the right. Well, guess where they're going? And so what I make a point of is when they come in, and I see this with each individual person, every time I do this with them, if I see them in a new fitting, I show them how to finish the turn and get up on that right foot and precisely feel pressure on the big toe and the next toe on that right foot. That way they have turned it all the way around, and that they should be perpendicular to their target line, and their shoulders and the hips. And so I have a lot of people that I've showed that to them, and if I see them out on the course or I see them in the grocery store or something, they'll come over and go, man, that one thing, that sure has made a difference in my accuracy and stuff. And just look at it with all the people that you fit and everything. If they don't finish that turn, they're a right-handed golfer, they're usually going to be out to the right normally.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them catch on about the grip and get a big stronger right-hand grip. But then what happens is they get a lot of duck hooks also.
Yeah.
And so that's my number one tip. And I think that I would say probably 80% of everyone that comes in, of my seniors, they do not finish the turn. So work with your golfers and help them to know how to finish the turn. I actually spend 15 or 20 minutes with them. I have a 30-year-old niece that has been dancing ballet ever since she was 4 years old. And she is the lead primary dancer for the San Antonio Ballet. And she came up and visited my shop one day about 3 years ago, and I was working with somebody. And so after they left, she told me, she said, well, just tell them to dance like I do. Tell them to dance like a ballerina, get up on their toes on the right foot. And the only way you can do that is finish that term.
Wow. Great tip. Well, okay. Keith, thanks for doing this today. I really appreciate it. And, as always, and we haven't seen each other face-to-face for a long time, but you do so much sharing with everybody and helping. It's really appreciated.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
This is a Golf Improvement Podcast number 200 mini interview with still semi-retired Tom Wishon from Tom Wishon Golf. I always like to say that about you, Tom. And Tom's done 5 previous wonderful interviews with me, and I want to thank him for that first. But we're gonna dive right in. I know a lot of my fitting friends are going to love this one, but we want to hear what's in your personal golf bag, and maybe a little bit about why.
Well, first of all my clubs have my name on it.
I figured that, right?
Yeah, that one's kind of funny. Whenever if we go on vacation and we get paired with somebody, and I, they find out my name, and then they look at my name on the golf bag, and they look at the name on the golf clubs and all that, and it's an interesting situation that comes up.
Yeah,
and a lot of it depends on how well I'm playing, with that, because there are an awful lot of people who will associate your ability to design a golf club with your ability to play with a golf club, which is, of course, a wrong association to make. But I'm used to it after this many years. What's in my bag? Okay. I actually started playing the single-length irons.
Okay.
Shortly after I designed my first set, which was back in 2015, and it was really almost by accident. It was during the wintertime. Mary Ellen and I were going on vacation. We were taking the clubs with, and I had been doing a bunch of testing with this first set of single-length clubs and had them in my bag, and Mary Ellen did the packing. We get to the golf course, where we're at on our vacation, and I look and I say, oh, gosh, I didn't put my, regular irons back in. I got these single lengths, for 3 rounds of golf over 10 days, and so, really, I was forced to play with this single length set, and the more I did, the more I liked it. And prior to that, I'm a traditionalist. I wasn't going to go ahead and stick them in my bag. I was going to stay with the incremental length irons that I'd had for such a long time, with that. But they just were intriguing, to me. So I stuck with those. And then when I designed the second generation single length set, the EQ1X NX, I just converted over to those. So I do play those. I play with our flagship driver, the 919 THI. Been playing that for a long time. Right now, I have a prototype of the brand new version of the 919 in my bag that I've been playing for a few months since, during development. Fairway woods, I'm playing with the EQ1NX, the fairway woods that are of the same model as the single length irons. But I do play the fairway woods quite a bit shorter, where kind of you can kind of say standard in the industry for a 3-wood these days, has been 43 inches, sometimes even 43 and a half. My 3-wood's 42, and then I play with a strong 7-wood in between that. So I've got like a slightly weak 3-wood at 16 degrees at 42 inches, and then I've got a slightly strong 7-wood at 20 degrees, which is 41 inches.
Okay.
That I have in length. And those play very well. Then, going back into the way old days, I have 2 hybrids, a 21-degree hybrid that's 39 inches long, 3-iron length, and then I have a 25-degree hybrid that's a 4-iron length at 38 and a half inches. And these go back 15 years or more. These are an old model that I just still love to death that we call the 915 FH. FH stood for fairway or hybrid because you could build the golf club to a fairway wood or to a hybrid, with that. And those are, still in the bag, from a long time back with that. So that's, kind of the woods and irons, rundown that I play with on that. And, hey, I'm 72, but I keep working at it. I still swear that next season I'm going to play better than I've ever played in my life. The one thing I can't argue with Father Time and arthritis and all that has cut my club head speed down considerably. So I now pretty much only play, I don't play tees that are any longer than 6,400 yards. My days of playing
6,400 still? Wow.
Well, 62, 63, 64 at the max, with that. Because, once I see a 420-yard par 4, I'm going, gulp. Can I hit an iron there?
Yeah. Now, how about the wedges you're playing? Are you playing your newer models?
I don't have the brand new ones in. I've still been tweaking a little bit on that. With that, I'm playing the sand wedge and gap wedge that are part of the single length set.
Yeah.
So they are, for me, 8-iron length, 36.5 inches. I got used to that. It took me maybe a month, to get used to a sand wedge that was 36.5 inches long compared to my old ones, where old sand wedge lengths, run anywhere from 35 to 35 and 3/4, sometimes 36, with that. And I like it a lot, with that. Now, whenever I have tested conventional wedges, built to 35 1/4 or 35.5, takes me a little bit to get used to that, because I can really feel how much shorter that feels to me. The other thing I've done, is my sand wedge and gap wedge, pitching wedge. They're all the same MOI or, same swing weight as the rest of the irons. So I'm not playing a sand wedge, which is the old traditional build, where so many companies, get into their sand wedges being like D4, D5, D6, with the old thought process that higher swing weight, higher head weight helps get the head through the sand more. If you don't have the acceleration through the ball, you're not going to get the wedge through the sand, no matter how much it weighs.
Yeah.
With that momentum isn't going to be your buddy at that point.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, I do play the single length wedges, in the bag.
Now, how about what putter you're playing now?
I gotta say, I have had the yips badly.
Oh, okay.
Since 1986.
Boy.
They came out of nowhere. I went to the doctor. I had nerve conduction tests, and I have a deficiency in my right hand. Where my nerve transmission down there isn't smooth. I get double firings of muscle contractions down there, and so you give me a conventional putter with a conventional putting grip and put me 10 feet away from a doorway, and I can't put it through the doorway.
Wow.
The hands will shake and misfire that much through the ball. So I've played a long putter, for, over 30 years, 35 years or so now. And that one, it's an old head that we did, a mallet style head from years ago that was called the Smooth 6.
I remember it.
It was an aluminum mallet with a polished face. I play the white version, with it. And I do follow the rules of golf. I don't anchor it into my chest. I keep it an inch away.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to that, even though I was completely against that rule when they brought it out.
Yeah.
Is there. But that's the whole set makeup, with so many brand new models coming out, and I'm testing all the time, and there's always some oddball clubs in my bag, this and that. I'm goofing around with a different a new putter that's a very high MOI, type of design that we'll see where that goes over the next year. Yeah. With that. And off and on, I test a different new driver that I've been working on for well down the road, with that as well. But, we're getting there, and it's still fun, even at my advanced age. I haven't gotten tired of trying to create new models and get a kick out of, it's still like Christmas morning to open up a box that has the first sample of a new design, for me to be able to hit, for that.
Now, so, as we sort of end this little mini interview, can you really point out one design that you are kind of most pleased with or proud of? We might have even talked about that before, but I don't remember if we did.
Yeah, at this point, because I have only designed in the component club making industry, and that's an industry where all the companies that supply heads to you guys who are the independent custom club makers out there, we have to have a product line offering of more models of drivers, more models of woods and hybrids and irons than the big companies do, so that the club makers have a good choice, from the standpoint of what they can choose from to be able to fit the golfers, of all different types that come in. So I've designed, over 400 different models of club heads in my career, that. So there's a whole bunch of them that go back, that for me, the ones I got the biggest kick out of were things that had never, ever been done before.
Yeah.
And, and so there are several, that stick with me. The one that, is still there, it never went, very far because it was so far ahead of its time, and nobody in the industry was doing anything like it. But it was an set of irons. It was called the TG system that I designed back when I was doing all this for Golfsmith during the 90s. This was a forged aluminum club head. The head, the body material for the iron was aluminum to keep that weight down. It had an all stainless steel sole, to help bring the weight up and to move the center of gravity way low. And it had two big tungsten weights on the back of the toe and heel to push the moment of inertia for off-center hit. Because it was aluminum, a soft metal, we then did a plasma coating on the face to give that durability so that when you were pounding balls, in sandy soil, it didn't just scratch and ding the soft face. And it was really a pretty amazing club head. It had extremely soft feel, because the body was aluminum, the striking surface was. It was very easy to get airborne because we had this gigantic steel along, sole, and the off-center hits, almost felt like on-center hits. Of course, This being a multi-material, it was extremely expensive to make, so we had to charge more. And, nobody, golfers didn't see anybody in the industry doing anything even remotely close to it. So they couldn't be attracted. It was hard to get them attracted to it. The model probably only lasted 2 years before we retired it, but it was a lot of, it was a big satisfaction, for me to be able to marry all those things together, into that. So that one definitely stands at the top of my list, even though people are, no one has any concept of what it was, because it didn't last very long, and it came from a company that didn't do, any kind of consumer, marketing out there. So that was, that's kind of one of the ones at the top of the list.
Well, that's neat of you to share that. Well, Tom, happy Thanksgiving, and I'm really looking forward to getting this episode live. It's a little different than pretty much anything I've ever done by just doing these little things. But, thanks for everything you continue to do, and you're still having fun. So that's great.
Yeah, I've got my health, and I'm doing fine with that, so I'm very grateful, for all of that.
Well, you take care. All the best.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving to you, Tony, and the very best to you to keep these things up, to keep that information going out there.
This is a Golf Improvement Podcast number 200 mini interview with, I'm calling him, I guess maybe he said, somewhat retired master club fitter and founder of the Association of Golf Club Fitting Professionals, Roy Nix, and I appreciate you doing this. Today, I'd like him to talk a bit about what I think is something different and very unique he's been doing. Online, he says he's an online fitting specialist, and he has a lot of really neat testimonials on his website about what he's been doing in terms of doing online fittings. And I don't think they're easy necessarily, but I know from seeing some of his posts on AGCP Forum that it's really rewarding. So, why is what you're doing working? Maybe that's a good way to pose, a 10-minute discussion a little bit and talk a little bit about that, Roy.
Well, I think it starts, to preface, it starts with learning the kinetic sequence of the golf swing, which I learned way back in the 1960s at the PGA school from Bob Toski. And you have to recognize in a golf swing what body parts need to be where and when. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, the swing begins at address, then you go through the back swing, the down swing, and the follow through. And I kind of break it down into the back swing is when the club is at the 6 o'clock. Suppose you're standing in front of a giant clock.
Yeah.
And when you stand there, you're at address, the club head is at 6 o'clock. And the backswing is when the club head goes from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And I break it down in any golf swing at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So you go from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and where should the hands be and the club head be in relation to them at 9 o'clock? Where should they be at 12 o'clock? And then you start the downswing, and you have to look again at where should the hands relative to the club head be at 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, again at 3 o'clock, and back to 12 o'clock. So you got a back, a down, and a follow. And every body part has to be in a certain position. And Mr. Toski, from the best of my memory, of course, 1968 is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I may not be quoting him correctly, but I'm giving you what I perceived from what he taught me as being his swing model at the PGA school for a week. I was on stage and he would say, "This is what you do," and I would have to duplicate it. And my perception of what he put me into or put me through was what I just described. And mostly it was about the hands and the club head in relation to the hands. If you know where the hands are supposed to be and where the club head's supposed to be when the hands are there, you don't have to look at a whole lot of other stuff. But if all of that doesn't fit, then you need to look and see why. For example, a lot of people talk about flipping the golf club. To him, the way he taught is the flip is at the top. You take the backswing and you begin your downswing by flipping your hands rather than pulling the club through with your left shoulder. So all of this kind of fits together. And once you learn the golf swing, the next thing you learn, and I didn't start learning this until I became a club fitter, 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
And gradually, as launch monitors came onto the scene, when I first started, there weren't any launch monitors as we know them today. There was no TrackMan or Flight Scope and some of the others. And you didn't have the ability to track the swing, the club head, and all the different facets of the swing. So you had to know the kinetic sequence, and you had to know, I had to learn how changing the golf club could affect the kinetic sequence. I guess an example of that would be if your club is shorter, you have more of a tendency to swing inside out than outside in. If your club is too long, then you have a tendency to do that flip I talked about and swing outside to inside. So you can affect the kinetic sequence by changing the length of the golf club. The same thing with weight. If the club is heavy, you have a tendency to swing inside to out. If the club is too light, you have a tendency to swing outside in. So by learning the kinetic sequence and learning what changes to the golf club affects the kinetic sequence and how, you can fit pretty effectively with video. And with my golfers, I have a form that they fill out where they give me basic information like their club head speed with a 5-iron and their club head speed with a driver. They tell me if they have a fast tempo or a slow tempo or an average tempo, if their downswing transition is forceful or nice and smooth. You watch some golfers and they look just so smooth, like they're not swinging hard at all, but they hit the ball 300 yards. You watch other golfers and they look like a Tasmanian devil and they hit the ball 300 yards. So recognizing these swing characteristics and combining that with how certain shafts help or hurt those characteristics, along with the club speed, and then watching the videos, it's almost like the golfer's there with you. Because if a guy's hitting for example, recently I fit a guy in New York, and when we got his information, he sent me TrackMan information and videos, and it showed from the TrackMan the data points you get showing where the ball lands and where the swing path is and all that. It showed that he hit a pull draw. And now he was a 5 handicapper, but everything he hit was a pull draw, and all of his shots on TrackMan were slightly to the left of target with a little bit of draw. And at the time, he had a set of Wishon 575s with Aerotech steel fiber I-95 shafts. And he played real well. He liked them. When he first contacted me, he wanted to get a duplicate set of 575s.
Yeah.
And he asked me about Wishon's new 585. And we went back and forth on which might be best. And after I got all of his data, we decided, by looking at that and knowing the kinetic sequence, I had a pretty good idea that his club was probably either too long or too light, or both, because he's hitting a pull draw. And with a lighter club and a longer club, you have a tendency to be outside the end. And if the head's too light, you're probably going to draw it. So I suggested to him that maybe if he wanted to stay with the steel fiber shaft, maybe he should try an I-110 or I-125. So I made him 2 test clubs, one of each. And I sent them to him, and he went back on the TrackMan. And from the TrackMan data there, we concluded that the I-110 gave him the best swing path and the best face angle. And I made his clubs a little bit shorter. And when I sent him the finished clubs, he loved them because now he's hitting the ball down the line at the target. And although he hasn't sent me new data, I can assume that his swing path now is pretty much where it needs to be, and so is his face angle.
Wow.
So,
I mean, that's just a perfect little description of what you're doing, and I just never appreciated as much in the past how you integrated. I mean, I know you integrate understanding the swing with what you do, but you described it so perfectly. So,
well, I really had no idea. I talked to Tom Wishon a lot before I started doing this, and through when I say I talk to him, we email a lot.
Yeah,
we don't talk on the phone a lot because both of us are kind of hard to get in touch with because we're here and there and everywhere. But we do email quite a bit, and I guess over a couple of years during my retirement, when I was winding down, and I was because of my health, I was unable to keep appointments, so I quit doing live fittings. And he encouraged me to do online because he kept telling me, well, with what you know about the swing, what you know about the club, you can help a lot of people. And it's kind of like you can do 80% simply by having a guy describe what he does. And by getting the videos, you can do, I'm guessing, say 90%. And if you do a live fitting with the same knowledge, you can get 100% good fit. And the difference is that at 80%, if you know his swing results, you can guess, or educated guess, I would say, what kind of shaft he needs, what kind of club he needs, how long it needs to be, and so forth. When you get the videos and the TrackMan data, you can pin it down a little bit more and get his club a little more closer to perfect. But when you're fitting him in person, you can put lead tape around the hosel. You can use different swing links, all the things we do when it's live. And so Tom convinced me that 90% is better than nothing. And I said, well, I guess you got a point,
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for, I guess, about 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And the testimonials speak for themselves. Apparently, I'm doing something right. I've got a guy in Arkansas right now who has a set of EQ1s.
Yeah.
And his father-in-law lives in Michigan. And he goes up there to visit, and it's inconvenient to take his clubs. So he rents clubs when he goes up there. And he recently wrote me and said, can you build me a duplicate set to take up there? Because since I've been using your clubs, I've improved my handicap 4 or 5 shots, and my game keeps getting better. But my model is, I got a guy in Woodstock, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, and he dropped his handicap from about 10.5 to about 4. And he's got a full set of EQ1s, EQ1 hybrids, EQ1 fairways, a 919 driver, and what's the 919 fairway driver? He's got one of those.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's tried everything that Tom Wishon makes in a sense, and he went with a 40-inch 3-wood and 7-wood,
Wow.
and he loves them.
Yeah.
And he didn't lose the yardage, but he gained a lot of control. So,
yeah. Well, I'm going to end this for now, but first of all, I want to thank you for what you just have done for so long for the AGCP and leading things, and that, it's continuing to grow. But this was really a neat little interview, Roy, today. So thank you very much.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh,
anytime.
Yes.
The Golf Improvement Podcast is sponsored by Tony Wright and Game Improvement Golf. Tony creates exceptional golf clubs. You shoot lower scores.
Bert, Keith, Tom, and Roy, thanks. You honored me and all of my listeners by doing this episode. And better yet, shared some great information. I put links in the show notes to find how you can learn more about each of these great club fitters and friends. And yes, Tom Wishon is not specifically a club fitter, but boy, he's the friend of club fitters. My shout out today, well, I can thank everyone individually for doing the first 200 Golf Improvement Podcast episodes with me, but just thank you. At the same time I'm doing this episode, I just made some major software improvements because the way I've recorded podcasts in the past no longer works. And it's also fun that I've had 3 or 4 requests from experts who want to do future podcast interviews with me. So the Golf Improvement Podcast is healthy and continuing. But my 10-year-old iMac computer is close to biting the dust. It's time for a major upgrade to a new machine. If you get value from these podcasts, a reminder that there's a support Game Improvement Golf link in the show notes for this podcast. Any and all financial support is greatly appreciated. Well, that's it for episode 200. Episode 201 will be another great one with Ryan Daly, one of the creators of the innovative Operation 36 model for helping beginning golfers improve their skills. Until then, take care, God bless Ukraine, and God bless America.
Game Improvement Golf, your source of information and inspiration to become an exceptional golfer now. www.gameimprovementgolf.com